Ezekiel Dasho here, and back for Gesture Study 2, and we'll just begin. So I've got this picture of these two boys chasing after a bun. That happens in the world. So we'll just get started with this circle for the head, and oval for the face. Let's draw this curve here for his shoulders, and get the back curve here, the hips there. I'm using the flat side of my pencil for a lot of this because it gets a lot of the work done at once. So with these simple drawings, they're a lot of fun. You can keep them fast and light. Let's go into this other boy's arm here. You just not really worried about the form so much, but just about the movement, the angles, and how they flow together. And the picture ends there. Let's get this little boy's arm here too. So they're kind of jockeying for position to get the treat or whatever. He looks like he's got his hat in his hand, so we might as well just block that in there. But yeah, it's, you can kind of draw the head in and then kind of figure out the general curve of the spine. It'll help you get the curves down. We're going to trail off with the hand here. And then you've got the angle of the hips and pelvic girdle. And then that'll help you kind of get the lower half of the form started. And when you're done, you can kind of improvise if you need to too. You'll roughly be able to tell what these figures are doing. You want to be able to communicate that with just the motion. And so let's see, maybe you could, add a little hair here, some eye, places where you might start adding the details. Sometimes I like to add the shadows. We talked about that in the last video too. Just add a few places where the shadows kind of help convey the rhythm. And so you might wind up with something like that. And I think now we'll just go on to the next one. I'm using a very soft pencil. It's kind of fun to just keep it light and keep it easy, and maybe get some of these occlusion shadows in from where his head is casting shadows there. And yeah, so happy with that, and we'll go on to the next one. That was about 5 minutes roughly for 2 figures, so we're going to move a little quicker on the next one, but we'll just keep it moving here. All right, so in this picture we have some artists of the martial variety, and it's an interesting one, a little more complex, but we're going to treat it the same way that we have the others. So I'm going to start with the figure who's doing the throwing, the one with both his feet planted, and just estimate a position for his head. Draw the circle for the skull, and then a pretty steep oval for his chin and nose. And then we'll see that his shoulder area is right about there, and chest right about here, leg curve here, and another here, and a foot about like that. And let's start in with the other martial artists and kind of just have to look at it for a second. My eyes are getting a little bit beguiled by all of the white in the picture here, but we can see his head is about here, and his face, the oval for his face is something like that, and his neck goes there, and his shoulder there with the curve around here, and then a nice long curve for his leg there. Maybe you could even use the pants to add to the flow of the rhythm in this one. There's so much visual, rhythm and beauty to the martial arts. And the lines are very clean and almost like ballet or something like that. His other arm is doing this thing here, and although I'm not too worried about the form, I'm kind of taking advantage of the angularity of their uniforms to accentuate some of the action here. So both his feet are the same level here, so I want that roughly at the same level. And then I might do a few details just to I think that keeping it quick and easy and is the way for these, because you just want to be able to get a sense of that gesture and not really worry about how right or wrong the form is, and put all those other concerns away and just focus on the motion, because it is so vital to the final outcome of a figure drawing. I mean, it sounds obvious, but the last thing you want is for your beautifully rendered figure drawing that you've worked on for a long time to look too rigid or too mechanical or something. Sometimes those little flaws in the rhythm of a drawing for the figure drawing can really disrupt the viewer. It's like how flaws with the eyes can disrupt the experience for the portraits and stuff like that. So you can just add in a little detail. I went pretty quickly on this one, so I might add in a few details here or there. this guy here has a little longer hair and it's kind of curling up and back. Maybe darken this up a little bit just for the, add a little bit of shadow if you wanted to. Not necessary, but it kind of makes it interesting. And, then you can start getting into the details and stuff like that. But, so there's a rhythm drawing of a couple of martial artists. About 5 minutes for 2 figures. I'll try to go quicker next time, but I said that last time too, so let's just keep it moving. All right, in this image we have JiuJitsu, and it's something apparently called a sacrifice throw, which is something I just learned. I'm going to start with the fellow on the bottom, the martial artist on the bottom, and it's just same approach as we did with the others. But I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that there's someone out there who can enjoy this with me, and if it's helpful in any way, that's great too. So get that curve there, and then this curve here. Looks like a little blurry in the picture, but his arm is kind of doing this. Now I'm going to go up to the upper figure, and a little tricky position, but only tricky in the mind. It's no different than the other ones. And so there's his head and his spine curve, kind of like that. His shoulder arc kind of like that. And these shapes are kind of a little too complex, but sort of like what's happening here, so I'm not going to fight it. And there's almost just a blur of rhythm there. Then his belt makes this cool shape here. And, I guess I could kind of improvise that shape a little bit there. And the pant legs in martial arts make for some pretty interesting rhythm gestural sources. So that would be kind of that. And, I've learned a lot about this pose. It's a pretty interesting one. Maybe add some shadows through here. He's got a belt there, and his pant legs are much darker than his tunic, or whatever they call them, shirt. So maybe even little shadows here on his hand. And it's kind of fun to put in some of these details afterward. There's a lot of rhythm happening up there. So yeah, 4.5 minutes. So for 2 figures, getting a little better. I'm gonna put in some shadows. So there we go. Maybe finish it off by, restoring his foot there.